Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, broadcasting on Channels Television live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. APC and PDP at loggerheads over alleged new revelation of loot amounting to millions of dollars purportedly stolen by the PDP government. DSS lists over 20 names of those set to be behind terrorist attacks across the country, asks Nigerians to be vigilant. U.S. government delegation visits First Consultants Medical Center in Lagos, seeks continued collaboration with Nigeria towards Ebola containment. And in Austria, rescued migrants vanish from hospital. Do remember you can read up more on our top stories. You find them on our website, channelstv.com, and on youtube.com/channelsweb. But do visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS, and Windows phones from their respective stores. We also encourage you to please interact with the Channels Eyewitness feature in the Channels TV app on the Android, iOS, and Windows platforms. If you have pictures or videos that you'd like to share with us, please tap the application on your device, swipe to review the Eyewitness menu, and follow the instructions. So here are a few reports sent in. We begin with this photo of an accident scene sent from Ogbomosho in Oyo State. Our eyewitness reporter says the accident was as a result of a head-on collision between an 18-seater bus and a trailer. He reported that some of the victims, including women and children, are in critical condition. From Imo State comes this photo of the poor state of the Port Harcourt-Owerri Road, Owerri Expressway. Our reporter says motorists spend not less than 8 hours on that road. He's appealing to the federal government to fix the road, and in time too. Similar to that is this one from Ihumudumu in Ekpoma, Edo State, showing the bad state of road there. Our eyewitness report is appealing to the Edo State government to fix the road to ease movement for pedestrians and motorists alike. Finally is this unbelievable picture from Adamawa State showing the building of a school almost submerged in the flood. Our eyewitness reporter says the flood it was as a result of the release of water from the Lagdo Dam. He's appealing that appropriate measures be taken to forestall a repeat of this, especially as we're in the season of rains. Well, thanks for sending in those pictures, and please know that you too can be an eyewitness reporter for Channels Television. We're on to Kogi State, where the governor, Audu Abubakar, former governor, beg your pardon, has returned to reckoning as he beat 19 others to pick the governorship ticket for the All Progressives Congress for the 2015 elections. The former governor garnered 1,109 votes of the 3,044 cast during the party's primary election, which concluded earlier today.
This is the first governorship election that the APC is going into since President Buhari and 22 other governors were elected in the last election. If you fail to deliver the right candidate and we lose these elections, you have failed the president, you have failed the vice president, you have failed our party. So you must choose wisely. The party has no preferred candidate. Anybody that parades himself as a candidate of the party is lying. The party has no preferred candidate. The party wants you to choose democratically who you think will ensure we kick the PDP or remnants of PDP out of the state.
And just a quick reminder here that the former governor of Kogi State, Audu Abubakar, has won the election for Kogi State. As the nation mourns the 7 people who died in the Kaduna air crash, Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar says he has set up an investigation panel to look into the cause of the crash of the aircraft belonging to the Nigeria Air Force. Air Marshal Abubakar confirmed this when he visited the Air Force base in Port Harcourt, River State. 7 people died after the Donia 288 military aircraft crashed into the site of the old Nigeria Defense Academy on Saturday, shortly after takeoff.
We have set up a board to immediately find out the immediate and remote causes of the accident, and we'll look at the report of that board and see what really caused it. It's a very tragic one. I've gone to condole the families, the pilots that were involved in the accident, and I think I don't want to preempt the cause of the accident. We want to give the board the opportunity to really find out what really caused the accident.
While our thoughts and prayers are with the victims and the families, President Muhammadu Buhari has sent his condolences to the families of the victims of the crashed Donia 228 aircraft that crashed in Kaduna State. His message was conveyed by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Defense, Alhaji Aliyu Ismaila, who led a federal government delegation to the site of the crash and to visit families of the victims. The President prayed that the Almighty God would grant the families the fortitude to bear the loss. Also expressing his condolences is the Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Gabriel Olanishakin, who today visited the site at the Nigeria Defense Academy where the aircraft crashed. It belongs to the Nigerian Air Force, killing all 7 people. The defense chief, who was accompanied to the crash site by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Defense, Samila Aliyu, and other top military officers, described the incident as unfortunate. Both the Permanent Secretary and the Defense Chief said efforts will be put in place to ensure that such incidents never occurs again.
The Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Gabriel Olanishakin, on Sunday visited the site at the Nigerian Defense Academy where a Donia 228 light aircraft belonging to the Nigerian Air Force crashed on Saturday, killing all the 7 people on board. The defense chief, who was accompanied to the crash site by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Defense, Samila Aliyu, and other top military officers, described the incident as unfortunate. Both the Permanent Secretary and the Defense Chief said efforts will be put in place to ensure that such an incident never occurs again. This is the building where the Donia 228 Air Force plane crashed at about 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. Residents of the old site of the Nigerian Defense Academy and environs were woken up with the sad news that a plane had crashed into a building in flames. The ill-fated plane took off from the Air Force base in Kaduna en route to Abuja. Unfortunately, less than 10 minutes in the air, it started wobbling before finally crashing inside the compound. Although no member of the household was killed in the crash, it left a devastating impact on the building. While emergency officials have removed the wreckage of the crashed plane and deposited the remains of the dead bodies at the Air Force Hospital mortuary, the defense chief and his entourage were shocked by what they saw at the site. Shattered roof and cracked walls. A minute's silence was thereafter observed in respect of the departed souls.
It is a very sad event, not only to Nigerian Armed Force, but to Nigerians. We have lost very able and capable officers and their families. We want to, on behalf of the federal government, extend our condolences to all of them and also pray God the Almighty will forgive their sins and then reward them with his blessings. If you know the passion and the zeal that Mr. President came into government, you will appreciate that he's doing everything possible to address some of these challenges of security in this country. Nigerian Air Force, Nigerian Navy, Nigeria, they are all one and the same. And he's doing everything possible to see that at least he repositioned them to meet the global standard. And we want to also, on behalf of the federal government, particularly Mr. President, to appeal to you to also give him that support so that we see that. This incident is something that is from God, and we should take it as from God. God has said that this is the last day they will spend on earth, and that's exactly what happened.
He has instructed the panel to investigate. I'm sure by the time they unravel the reasons for this, will make sure that such a thing does not repeat itself.
From the crash site, the team paid a condolence visit to families of the victims at the Air Force Base to commiserate with them over the incident.
Indeed, our thoughts and prayers are with the families of the victims. Nigeria's Department of State Services has released the identities of 21 alleged commanders and frontline members of the Boko Haram terrorist group arrested in different parts of the country. In a statement signed by Mr. Tony Opuyo, the DSS explained that the successful arrests were as a result of the service's re-strategization measures to combat the menace insurgency. The suspects are said to have been arrested in Lagos, Kano, Plateau, Enugu and Gombe states between July 8th and August 25th, 2015. They include those allegedly responsible for the coordination and execution of the suicide attack in Potiskum, Kano, Zaria and Jos, who were arrested on July 8th in Gombe State. The suspects named by the DSS include Usman Shuaibu, also known as Money, said to be the coordinator of the suicide attacks, Ahmed Muhammad, also known as Abubakar, an IED expert, who is said to have prepared the improvised explosive devices for the attack. All others are Adamu Abdullahi, Ibrahim Isa, who allegedly carried out reconnaissance on targets in the Jos attacks, and Mutaka Yusuf, who is said to have assisted Usman Shuaibu in planning and executing the attacks. The DSS says Shuaibu and his group were intercepted on their way to Bauchi State, where they had planned to execute another bomb attack, and that their arrests had stemmed the spate of bombings by the sect. 12 other suspects are said to have been arrested in Lagos State, while 3 were nabbed in Enugu, Gombe and in Kano State. According to the service, the group has been forced into a new pattern of movement and spread owing to the pressure being put on them in their core areas of strength in the northeast. Meanwhile, the Department of State Services, in conjunction with aviation authorities at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, busted what they described as a spy network allegedly mounted by Boko Haram terrorists. The intention of the group was to infiltrate the airport with the help of an agent to attack the airport. Now that the spy agent has been apprehended, that's talking about the 14-year-old Sulaiman Abdulrahman. What should be done to keep vigilance at the nation's airports? Joining me now on the News at 10 is a retired States Director of DSS, Mr. Mike. Mr. Jofo, you're welcome to the News at 10.
Thank you very much.
Now, the DSS claims that it arrested a spy agent who was busy gathering information about Abuja Airport with the intention of attacking the place. From what you know about Abuja Airport and the armed soldiers there, the police tank which was positioned at the premises and with a series of roadblocks, could this attack have been possible?
Well, I would think it would have been impossible because I think the measures put in place gave rise to the arrest of the suspect. Don't forget that vehicles are normally allowed access into the area, and there's no way somebody should have been marked on the head that is a terrorist suspect. But I believe that the measures already put in place assisted the security agencies, and the coordination between the various agencies gave rise to this arrest, which is heartwarming, and I think our security agencies must be commended for this, because if this had taken place, the adverse effect on our airport would have been very devastating. Don't forget that these people have attacked various areas like motor parks, churches, mosques, and United Nations headquarters. We just the United Nations headquarters attack was just recently marked when the United Nations Secretary General visited Nigeria. So I think we should put more measures in place to ensure that this doesn't take place at all.
When you're talking about more measures to be put in place, what would you suggest to safeguard the Abuja airports and other airports across the country?
Well, it calls for vigilance and consciousness among the various passengers using the various airports. We are not very conscious. The travelers must be very conscious. In other climes, when people travel, you see Announcements are continuously made that unaccompanied luggages and bags will be removed. But there's a situation where you find people dropping their luggages, dropping their bags unaccompanied, and that's very, very dangerous. So I will use this opportunity to call on travelers that any person you suspect should be reported to the nearest security agent. Maybe the SSS, the police, the army. We have a lot of them at the airports, and I think that's the best way to go.
Well, we do reliably gather that Dauda Sadiq, who is the main spy agent in this situation, is on the run. Will this not give room for regrouping? How can we help to forestall such a thing happening again?
Well, he's on the run, but the suspect in custody, I believe, will provide very useful information. And from what we've read and the information gotten so far, is providing leads. And I believe, since it's from Kogi State, as indicated, you remember that Kogi State too is becoming a flashpoint. It's becoming very worrisome. That was the area that United Nations troops who were going on peace mission was attacked. And we have a lot of cells in Kogi State. So I believe the people within the area should be very, very conscious of their environment, not just in Kogi State, but especially around our airports, particularly Lagos and Abuja, which are the main gateway out of this country.
It's possible, you know, if for such a thing that has happened, it's possible that Boko Haram does have an insider who was providing information, which is why this young man was able to gain access into the airport. How can the airports make sure that staff are not being recruited by the group to perpetrate violence on other Nigerians, and how can they identify people who are sympathetic to Boko Haram?
You know that there are access control measures, especially for the staff. They are properly identified, and anybody found without a proper identity should not be allowed to have access to the airport. So I think the various security agencies should now convene a meeting to re-strategize their security measures, especially identification and control of access to prevent unauthorized persons from having access to restricted areas. I think that's very, very critical now.
Mr. Ejiofor, thank you so much for joining us on the News at 10. We've gained a lot from your insight and your point of view on this particular issue. Thank you for joining us again.
My pleasure.
I'll be speaking to Mr. Ejiofor, Mr. Mike Ejiofor, who's a retired State Director of the DSS. And when the News at 10 returns, United States delegation visits First Consultant Medical Center in Lagos, commenced the hospital's Ebola containment efforts. We'll have details on that in a moment. Please join us again.